The Book of Eternal Returns by Lisa Bulowski of St. Louis, Missouri. An artist's book of print media and collage on paper and wood shelving. Lisa says, the Book of Eternal Returns is an unbound, ongoing collection of hand-printed images that arise from a set of questions that have preoccupied me for as long as I can remember. Among them, what is the relationship between the marks we leave on the world and the marks the world leaves on us? How do we acknowledge and honor those marks as atomistic images that float and reverberate through time and being? Importantly, in terms of these marks, the book includes a number of visual and textual attributions on Kawara, Felix Gonzalez Torres, Cy Twombly, Jack Whitten, Nick Utt, Marie Howe, Han Jost Fry, William Kettridge, Ann Dillard, and Wallace Stegner, thus far. The images range from hand-drawn to photographic, diagrammatic to poetic. The Exorcism of Page 13, an AID 2016 collage by Carol Bertner of Richmond, Virginia. In her statement, the artist says, a fanciful tribute to superstition, the Exorcism of Page 13 series documents my ongoing fascination with the number 13. To ensure good luck and prevent uninvited circumstances, I cut the page number plus surrounding text from every book in my library, cutting away its small dark presence at the page's bottom. When the squares were collaged into grids, poetry emerges. Currently, there are 50+ works in the series. The Tears of 94 Mothers, an artist's book of Asian paper, steel, waxed linen thread, and ink by Pam Fortner of Arvada, Colorado. Fortner explains, The Tears of 94 Mothers was created in response to the epidemic of gun violence in the United States. In 2015, an average of 94 people were shot every day in this country. Sadly, in 2022, that number increased to 122 deaths per day. As a nation, the United States boasts the highest rate of gun ownership per capita. Ironically, the U.S. also suffers from the highest homicide rate among high-income countries. This piece expresses my sorrow over the unnecessary injuries and deaths inflicted by guns and how gun violence has ruined so many lives. This sculptural book of 94 pages was created from sheets of delicate paper that had been dyed with ink to resemble the flow of tears. The paper was then bound on hard steel rods. It is suspended over the casings of 94 bullets. Thunderstorm, an artist's book of paper, Asian paper, waxed linen thread, tea, and ink by Pam Fortner of Arvada, Colorado. The artist says, Thunderstorm is part of a series of sculptural book forms that I began creating in 2021. It is an exploration of form and technique. After it was bound, it reminded me of the intense rain that falls during a thunderstorm. This sculptural book was created from reclaimed paper, dyed in tea, and bound with waxed linen thread using a double needle Coptic stitch. Strips of Asian paper were dipped into ink and hand spun as one would spin wool. They were inserted into the binding of each page as the book was bound. Volume 122, number 896, a digital print by Daniel Martin of Kenosha, Wisconsin. This work, Volume 122, number 896, is one segment of a larger project, a deconstruction of the page layouts of 12 issues of the academic journal Publications of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, formerly published by the University of Chicago Press. By focusing on the graphic content of each issue, the layouts and structural forms of the issue are revealed through interactions between lines, shapes, and colors. The pages are laid out algorithmically. The results reflect the choices made by the journal management in favor of speed, efficiency, and lower costs over aesthetic. The images here show a kind of X-ray of one printed issue, the color-coded graphic elements of each article interacting between layers of pages to reveal the algorithm's page layouts combined as a whole. Science wants to get closer to truth, but these images encourage the viewer's truth to manifest. Has It Been Tomorrow Yet? An artist's book of paper, wood, ink, and iron by Sarah Motojinajad of Seattle, Washington. Sarah states, I love distilling books to their elemental forms and pressing the limits of what can be considered a book. My love for the book led me to a love for print and many forms of printing that make their way into my work. I usually work with paper, but I also work with leather, wood, metal, clay, fabric, plexiglass, and more. My material choices are dictated by the artistic concept as much as possible within my skill set. I walk the line between analog and digital. I set the type manually and in InDesign. I draw with a pencil and paper or an illustrator. I carve blocks by hand and cut designs with a laser. I also quite happily blur the lines between art, craft, and design. My work flows between them, directed by the story I'm telling. I believe it's this fluidity that gives my work its strength. My goal is to inspire those who see my work to look more carefully at the people around them and to discover beauty in themselves. 2-Year Diary, a Linocut in Accordion book by Nick Fan of Kansas City, Missouri. Nick says, 2-Year Diary is a compilation of linocuts made from 2020 to 2022, created to express and explore my daily life. The images range from objects I interacted with daily, such as my keys and carving tools, to memes made to express the situations I am currently in or depictions of significant events. Originally, the images and text were paired into individual postcards and mailed to friends so that I could meaningfully keep up with them after we split our separate ways due to school. I began to find an appreciation for the mundane and the objects I saw every day. I began to see the postcards tracking the passage of time during my graduate school career and decided to bind them together into a diary. These are several trends you can explore while reading the diary, from adjusting to COVID-19 pandemic to learning to cook. Mother Nature Holds Her Breath, an artist's book of polychromed paper-cut stencils registered and offset by M.J. Viono Crow of Belfast, Maine. Night follows day. All creatures stand witness while Mother Nature holds her breath. Mother Nature Holds Her Breath is an accordion book measuring 7 feet when fully extended, displays diametrically opposed environmental visions. By offset printing and registering polychromed paper stencils to create a unique verso-recto bookwork, lush flora and fauna on one side is on full display. Ominously, that fecundity is overwhelmed by the opposing side by the environmental wasteland that industrialization with its exploitation of the environment has created. From spewing smokestacks to clear-cut forests, the devastating impact on the environment is the focus this work addresses. And yet, Mother Nature, while waiting to see when we will act to heal her wounds, continues to provide us with her bounty. Stars, a poem by Emily Bronte, an artist's book of papers, pigments, bookboard and cloth, ribbon, threads, PVA, by Joel Weber of Westport Island, Maine. A sculptural celebration of Emily Bronte's wonderful land, sea, and starscapes. The smaller poem, featured on the accordion upright column, and at first hour, corresponds quite closely with the stanzas of Stars, featured on base. Both poems follow a similar visual and philosophical thread, but while Stars faithfully yearns for the night sky, and At First Hour ends in honoring the sun. There was a logical progression of light in the verse. The poem begins with a glaring sunrise, then retreats to the memory of a preferred starry night. Next, the sun begins to rise again, ascending enough to light the hills before retreating once more to the stars. Finally ending in a bright bedroom and a sunrise that won't be denied. These 7 changes of light and scenes are reflected in the 7-pointed star of the book and the poem circle. Elbow to Elbow, a mixed media artist book by Allie Wheeler of Manti, Utah. Allie says, "From the time I was a child, I have collected objects of sentimental value to me. I found myself with multiple shoeboxes full of personal relics with memories or symbolic meaning attached to them. Through this collection of physical objects, I am able to revisit memories at will. Although it is impossible to precisely recreate a memory, using devices such as contextual prompts and objects, I am able to reflect on the past experience with vivid detail through imagination. With having these physical objects from times in my life, I am able to revisit those memories. Elbow to Elbow relates directly to this idea." The Linotype Daily, an artist's book of letterpress from cast metal type by Dan Wood of Providence, Rhode Island. The Linotype Daily is a year-long print project in which a new print is created and released to the internet every day. The introduction of the linotype machine in 1886, the first machine to successfully automate the hand typesetting process, began a new printing revolution, allowing books and newspapers to be made faster, more affordable, and accessible to a much wider audience. This truly ushered in the information age we now live in. The Linotype Daily project attempts to use this once speedy but now painfully slow and meticulous process to sift through the day's news and events and present it to the public, a daily record of the lives we are leading. Beginning March 1st, 2019, it chronicles this tumultuous period of our time, while reflecting on our current oversaturated information moment using the very machine which got it started.